Yes, I know, everyone, including those of you that are watching this video, are gonna be like, really? A second video? I was thinking about this during my lunch break today. And I kept thinking, I named off a lot of characters, but there's a lot of other characters that I think could be worth mentioning too. But I'm going to start off with one of DC Comics' ever-enduring couples, and that is Shiera and Carter Hall, Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I would actually have them face the Shadow Thief if I put an animated short with these two together. And I think that I would have a great part where, as they're fighting the Shadow Thief, they basically are distanced from their Themagarian nth metal maces, and they're forced to fight using medieval-esque weapons, kind of like in the Silver Age. Carter would be using a crossbow or like a medieval flail. Shiera would be using Roman gladiator spears and stuff like that. I just think that it would be kind of nice to kind of see them, show that they can use weapons outside of their maces and other Themagarian type weaponry, that they're versed in all weapons. I would get the lady from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited for Shiera, and I would get the guy who portrayed him in Smallville's Absolute Justice special to come back. I think that that actor and actress would be really good for this couple. And I think it'd be awesome to see Hawkman finally get his due a little bit, as well as Shiera. I can't forget about Shiera because they are going to be a team. The next one is probably one of the weirdest of DC Comics, Animal Kingdom-esque characters, and that is Buona Beast. And Buona Beast, for those of you who don't know anything about this character, he basically has the ability, through mystical shaman-esque magic or through radiation, who knows really about Buona Beast, but he has the ability to take one animal and combine it with another animal. So he can combine a horse and a spider that can create a horse that can crawl up walls and basically shoot webs out of its butthole. Yeah, try sleeping tonight with that image. And also, I just think that I would love to have a beginning scene where Buona Beast just wrestles a whole bunch of zoo animals. Don't ask me why. I just think that would be cool if there's like a zoo breakout and Buona Beast basically stops every animal, including wrestling a silverback gorilla and a black bear. But moving on. Zatanna, a female character that Ziploc Gory and I both enjoy, or that we are big fans of. And I would actually have Zatanna face Abracadabra or that one demon kid from that one episode of Young Justice. I cannot remember his name. Or it could just have Zatanna stop a random demon lord from trying to take over Earth. I just think Zatanna would be a great mystical character and could definitely more than hold her own animated short. Who would I get to do the voice of Zatanna? It would definitely have to be someone who has a sexy and sultry sounding voice. First person that comes to my mind is Claudia Black, but I think her voice would be a little, as weird as it sounds, too deep and sexified for Zatanna. So, not really sure about that one. Not really sure at all. And here's one that Deadpoolzilla recommended. And I thought about it, and I tinkered around with the idea, and you know what? I'm just going to go straight for it. G.I. Robot. Why not? If we're going to talk about obscure, over-the-top characters, G.I. Robot is on the top of that list. A frickin' army robot. Basically, a Terminator. A frickin' Terminator. DC's version of the Terminator robot. I think that it would be frickin' hilarious to see a GI Robot segment. I don't know how they would try to fit him in there, but kudos to whoever can come up with a story for GI Robot. You know, kudos. Hell, have him team up with Sergeant Rock. There you go, a Sergeant Rock GI Robot collaborational team up. That would make for a hell of a great team up for a DC animated short. Now the next one is one of my personal favorites, and I thought, well, if I'm gonna do this secondary list, I gotta talk about my man Michael Von Carter, aka Booster. Yes, Booster Gold. And who would I get to do the voice of Booster? Definitely somebody who sounds cocky. I have no idea who. Maybe get the voice actor from Brave and the Bold. But definitely one mandatory thing, if they're gonna have Skeet, if Skeets is in the animated short, gotta have Billy West as the voice. Billy West is the only voice that I can picture for Skeets. And also, just real quick, I realized that there's tons of DC obscure characters, by the by. Just to frickin', I'm trying to think of the word here. Hold on a second. I don't know if the mic's actually catching that, but I do apologize. That's talking with a friend on Xbox, so I'm got him on hold right now. But there's tons and tons of characters that I could go through, and it would take tons of videos from me, Mount Vernon, Kid Dipplezilla, and everybody else. But so this is going to be more or less just, I guess, like top rated ones. DPZ did his, so I'm going to do this video and the previous video. But I've rambled on about that. And Booster. Now here's a female character that can more than hold her own short. Yes, Stargirl. I think Stargirl would be an awesome female hero, or superheroine I should say, that can hold her own animated short. And I think that and also I think that she would, seeing her with like Wildcat or a few of the other JSA members, when she was at least a member of that group, or maybe she's still a member, I cannot remember. I am just now starting to get into JSA, so somebody can correct me on that. But I think that would be kind of cool to see Stargirl. I mean, she's always been kind of a background or supporting character, and never really given the limelight per se, in my opinion. So I think it's about time that Stargirl kind of shows that, you know, she's not the prissy, you know, girl that always needs help. That she can, for the most part, fend for herself. Maybe have her fight an alien invasion. As stereotypical as that sounds, just can figure out something for her. Anybody can volunteer for that. Now the next one is a team up of two obscure female characters that I think really deserve their own animated short, and that is the combination of Fire and Ice. Yeah. Very cheesy combination, but you know what? Fire and Ice actually, I think this would be a cool super heroine team up. I think these two would do great together in an animated short. What else can I really say here? I mean, you got one who's a Brazilian knockout, and the other, if I remember, is, I want to say Ukrainian, maybe Russian. Somebody can correct me on Ice's proper ethnicity, but I'm thinking Ukrainian, because she has a very heavily thick accent that suggests to me that maybe it's the Ukraine. Who knows? Maybe she's Romanian. I doubt it. I doubt it very clearly because I don't know much about ice or fire. But I just in my mind think, you know, now in terms of voice actors, I would definitely get the lady who did Fire's voice in JLU. In terms of ice, I really don't know. Don't know how they would go about that. But one that I am sure about is getting the guy, I think his name was Ewan Gerard or something like that. I cannot pronounce the name, but the guy who played Mr. Fantastic in the Tim Story Fantastic Four films, I want him to come back to do the voice of this guy, Scott Free, although also known as Mr. Miracle. I think Mr. Miracle could definitely more than hold his own animated short. And I think, you know, Barda would make for a great big supporting character of Scott's. Hell, you could actually have Scott maybe even fighting, you know, on New Genesis against Darkseid's forces. Could have like cameos by the New Gods and Highfather and Barda and all kinds of characters. Now I realize that that's just weird and out there, but that's just one idea. You could also have another idea where, you know, these gangsters from Mob Boss think that they've captured and secured Scott, and Scott just completely turns the tables on all of them. But I definitely would love in the short if they show, or at least play up, how big an escape artist or a master escapologist, you know, Scott really is. I think that that would be a very great animated short. And here are some characters that I absolutely do not like. I do not like these characters one bit, but in all fairness, I think that they can more than hold their own short, and I think that, you know, even though I really don't care for them, I think they deserve a chance. But the Legion, yes, the Legion of Superheroes. Brainiac 5 and Blimpo, as I call that kid, that one fat kid that, you know, like Round Boy, Balloon Boy, whatever you want to call him. Just all these superhero, you know, Superman's futuristic allies. Despite the fact that I really don't care for the Legion, I will admit, in all fairness, that they more than deserve their own animated short. I think they deserve their animated. I think definitely that they deserve their own animated short, though. So, for those of you who are Legion of Superhero fans, there you go. I'm throwing this suggestion out here for you guys. And the next one that I came up with is one that Mount Vernon Kid and Deadpoolzilla both came to the agreement of and would really love to see. And personally, I would love to see a cameo by Lady Shiva in this guy's animated short, and she would be voiced stereotypically by Kelly Hu. But Richard Dragon, yes, Richard Dragon, the man who trained Bruce Wayne and many others, Lady Shiva included. The Kung Fu Master, and a man who, in my opinion, would be awesome to see. And I would actually put this right around the time that Lady Shiva is training with Richard, or you could have a part where she's done with her training and she comes back as an assassin. One of her, you know, targets, her contract, is on Richard. And I would love to see in the animated short this big, epic, you know, kung fu fight between Richard Dragon and Lady Shiva. I think that would be an awesome thing to see in the short. And who I would have loved to had for the voice of Richard Dragon, and, you know, God rest his soul now, but David Carradine, the guy who played Bill in Kill Bill and, you know, was on the legendary TV show Kung Fu. I think he would have made a great Richard Dragon. But moving on to a very obscure World War II character, and that is Hans von Hammer, also known as Enemy Ace, who is a German Nazi anti-hero character who was a fighter pilot in World War I and World War II. And I would definitely love to play up, Hans having basically conflictions. On one hand, he wants to serve the fatherland, but on the other hand, he does not agree with a lot of what his superiors and comrades' actions and their biases are. He does not believe that the Jews should be blamed for everything. He believes in not, ambushing enemies. He believes in honor and chivalry. He will not just gun down someone in cold blood. He will fight an enemy head on, almost in like a warrior's honor type way. And in my mind, I think that this would be a really cool, obscure character, and also, it would just, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Not one that is actually a character, but a comic book series that they did, but I would love to see an animated short of this. I think it would be an awesome idea. But have an animated short from the war that time forgot. Maybe have an animated short based on the comic book line. I know F.W. Waller and many others that would enjoy this. Would enjoy an animated short like this. And also, the idea of GIs and light infantry tanks during World War II on a tropical island facing velociraptors, triceratopses, pterodactyls, T-Rexes, just any dinosaur that you can think of, and you got army guys facing off against them. Now, I ask you, is that not an awesome concept? Because to me, that's just a really awesome concept. And I think that's definitely worthy of an animated short. The next one that I'm moving on is somebody posted in the comments on the first of Deadpoolzilla's videos. And I tinkered around with it, but I think he more than deserves it. But John Henry Irons. Yes, Steel. And I think I would have Steel, and this is just out of left field, but I think that it would fit. Have Steel fight John Corbin. Yes, Metallo. I think Metallo and Steel fighting in Metropolis would be a very cool animated short. And also, I think it would be able to showcase that Steel isn't just a supporting character, that he is a main event type character. That he is a character that I think DC should try to push. Because when I think of John Henry Iron, I think of a guy who is probably one of the top Superman supporting characters, but is a character that can definitely more than hold his own in his own solo series. So, who would I get to do the voice of him? Well, it certainly would not be Shaquille O'Neal. That is for sure. Fucking hate that movie. With a passion. But moving on to a very, very obscure character, one who actually came on to Batman Brave in an episode of Brave and the Bold, and that is the Time Master himself, Rip Hunter. Yes, Rip Hunter, I think would be a great, it would be a very fun, very campy, old school time traveling adventure short. Could have Rip Hunter traveling through time or narrating, like Rip Hunter's at like the end of his life and he's about to pass on his legacy and whatnot. And just the animated short would be him going through flashbacks describing, all of his adventures, how he was traveling through time to save the save the Romans from actually not crumbling or something like that. Basically helping to preserve history. And I think that that concept would be really great. I think it'd be fun, it'd be quirky, and it would also introduce us to a really obscure and awesome character. Another character from the animal kingdom, and that is Buddy Baker, also known as Animal Man. And Buddy Baker, from what I've read, he basically can fly. He has minute animal keen senses. He's as strong as a gorilla, or something to that nature. And I would actually have him, since Buddy is the kind of guy who's a bit of an animal activist, at least according to the way that he was wrote in Grant Morrison's little video. Not video, but I mean his little graphic novel and whatnot, or his graphic novel series. I could be wrong, somebody can probably correct me because it's been a while since I've actually read that book. But I would actually have him expose a pharmaceutical company for doing unethical testing on animals. I just think that, since he is a quote-unquote animal activist, according to what I read, I think that that would be a great simplistic short. Just him, him trying to expose this evil pharmaceutical company. But moving on, yes, a great team up in my mind, a great buddy team up too, and I really enjoyed these guys' chemistry in JLU. But Shining Knight and Vigilante, I think this would make a really awesome team up, because I mean, just think about it, a cowboy and a knight. One has guns, one has a Pegasus sword and an enchanted sword that can cut through nearly everything imaginable. Magic, and I don't know. This just seemed like a cool team up. And also, these guys, I think, considering in JLU how great their chemistry was, I just think that this would be a great buddy team up. It would really... What else do I need to say? I mean, there's really nothing to say. It's pretty self-explanatory. It'd just be an awesome team up. Period. But I'm moving on to the final one. The final animated short idea. And yes, Mount Vernon Kid, this one is actually for you. I would actually have the JSA are helping Rip Hunter repair his time machine, or rather, Michael Holton is helping to repair it. And he accidentally goes back through time. And when he does so, he is basically trapped in the time period, yes, when the original Mr. Terrific was actually still alive and still around. And what sparked this animated short idea was simply because, they had Jaime Reyes meet Ted Kord. And in my thoughts, I thought, since Mount Vernon Kid described that Michael Holton believed in the ideal of fair play and whatnot, and kind of idolized the original Mr. Terrific, I thought, it would be kind of a great team-up deal if Michael Holton went back in time to when the original Mr. Terrific was in his prime. When he was still, a very athletic go-getter. And I think that these two teaming up would just be, it'd be a great kind of passing the torch kind of short. And that is the last, I promise you guys, the last of the animated shorts. There's tons of characters, but I'm just going to leave it off with this last one. Mr. Terrific, Michael Holton teaming up with the original. Now on to the Winghead edition.